It's Lionel, your tech lead and partner at Westford. And today I have another video here to talk to you guys about something that's been going on in the media. I'm seeing it everywhere, CNN, blah, blah, blah. This very interesting concept. Very rarely as a mathematician do I get a chance to actually talk about exponential functions. This is very rare. At the same time, I understand this is a tech channel. So what does exponential functions have to do with software development and tech architecture? And this is an excellent time for us to understand some of the stuff that's out there in the market, out there in the world, and get our hands on what this concept is. So basically, exponential is defined by this graph over here. Okay, it starts out very slow and then goes crazy. You've probably heard this, very related to the COVID-19, a few cases at the bottom, a whole bunch of cases at the end. But what exactly is exponential? What is an exponential relationship? So it's quite simply a exponential relationship is when the variables are determined by each other. Okay? So to give you an example, in the virus, today there's 1, tomorrow there's 2, the next day there is 4. So there's a doubling down there. That's a exponential to base 2. Meaning that if you think of patient number 1, he has gone and infected patient number 2. Patient number 2 has gone out and infected patient number 4. Oh, I'm sorry, 3 and 4. So these people are still, the next step in the process is related to the steps before that. That means your system is interdependent. We call them chained. Now, in the virus case, there's many examples of this, how the virus doubles every few days. That's usually the doubling of it. There's also another case where how do you prevent viruses from coming in? So if you have one door, your risk is yes or no. If you have 2 doors, it's yes and no on both sides. There are now 4 permutations, whether someone has the virus or does not have the virus. Now, this is so relevant is a lot of people do not understand exponential, especially maybe your clients and especially in system design. Okay, so take an example. I have a door, okay, or entry point. If I have one entry point and there's a 50% chance, that is now that's 0 and 5. I mean 1 over 2. 2 doors is now 1 over 4, and the third door is now going to be 1 over 8. Now imagine if 3 people came through that door, right? Your chances of everybody being clean is 1 out of 8. Okay, say there's a 50% chance. The chance of somebody coming through that is not safe, that has COVID-19, example, is 7 out of 8. Is the sum of all the differences, 1 minus the probability of success. So when the next door that's entered, right, it becomes 1 out of 16. It's doubling, and your odds of not having a single case become very low. That's why they have to close points of entries, different countries, all that kind of stuff. And they're all related to each other. Now, this is very interesting when it comes to software development and building a program. Now, if you see the chain, right, the longer it is, the more probability that it will break. The more probability that something will go wrong. So that's why I like building software systems and systems in general that are very safe, very simple, and very linear. So if you want to build something, you want to build something that doesn't use too many different components, doesn't use too many frameworks. Now, let's take it now to software development. Okay, I'm going to give you a very simple analogy. Imagine if we had 2 different kinds of software. A Yi framework setup, and then a front-end, back-end with Node.js and Angular. Okay, the ones that I'm not big on. Now, if you look at the probability, right, your chance of understanding a system of, say you understand the system 80% of a E2 framework, that's 80%. This one, even if you knew 90%, right, the chance of you knowing both of them is 90 times 90, and that's 81%. So the more you have in the chain, the more difficult the system becomes, the harder it is to handle. And if you add one more on top of that, right, say you add JavaScript or you add a plugin. So this is a very simple scenario. If we jump into the code level, right, and we talk about different components inside a chain, any one of them fails, right? Any one of them fails, your whole system will fail. To figure out what happens, the number of permutations at the end, which is from 16 going to 32 to 64 to something after that, right? Much bigger, much bigger in terms of the number of exceptions, number of conditions. So that's why when you build software, right, try to think simple as possible, linear as possible, and watch out for functions that are determined by each other. If someone comes around and says, hey, I want to use Vue.js, I want to use these 10 plugins, I want to use all these things, right? Start thinking, are these all chained together? Are they determined by each other? If they're determined by each other, you have a exponential system. And exponential systems turn into Jinga, where if you pull anything off, they go down. Try to go serial, try to avoid this, and the best thing, be like the Google web page, my favorite, keep it as simple as possible to the end. My clients, I try my very best. I push back against product managers. I push back against clients about lots of features because I know you're adding more complexity, especially if it's exponentially driven. As much clutter as possible. Keep your system nice and tight. That's the bottom line because I'm the tech lead and that's what the tech lead said so.